Good morning, everybody. Today's topic for this week's call is proactive performance, and we want to take some time this morning to go over the difference in identifying and approaching problems that we see every day. One of the things that happens to us in the dealership environment, I'm going to go so far to say it's easy to see numbers on a piece of paper that need improvement. Many times, I'm sure all of us have had 20 group presentations and they go, gosh, this number or this result's not good. It's your number 18 out of 20 or your number 20 out of 20, and we need to be improving that number on a piece of paper. And I recall specifically talking to one of my clients who brought up that they had someone before come in and they would say things like, you got to get your hours per RO up, or you got to get your customer pay effective labor rate improved. They could identify things that needed improvement, and that's very easy. The hard thing to do is change it. In this example, where you have someone saying this needs to be better, that needs to be better, there was no time spent on how to accomplish it. They didn't even know if the person that they were saying to in this effective labor rate example, did they even know what the effective labor rate was, or how to get that number? How do you improve that result? So really, when you're looking at proactive performance, first you must be proactive on the issues that you do have and you do identify. Identify the need. Now that's the easy part, right? And also, when you identify a need that you want to address, I would suggest to you that you always be working on 3 issues at any given time. No more than 3 can have a priority. Now, you might say, gosh, my shop has 15 issues. But if you focus on 3 at any one time, that doesn't mean you discount or you don't get involved with the other issues. But if you take your 3 top issues and use this simple procedure, and won't be long you'll be going on your other issues, will replace them as your top ones. So once you've identified the needs that you have, and in this example, let's just use a need. At that time, be sure to include your team. One of the things that happens in a company environment, if you don't include the team and you spring on them a new process or a new procedure, or you talk about a huge concern that you have, and it's just a big surprise, hey, we've got this whole new process, starts today. It's mandatory. It creates ill feelings, ill will, and generally doesn't get a good result. But when you include the team in this discussion, and let's use the effective labor rate as a possibility for an example here. Gosh, we need to get our effective labor rate up, and we've identified that as an area of concern and in the customer pay side. And we're going to take some time here today and discuss ways that the team believes we can improve our performance on this. Now, you might have identified some labor operations that are not structured properly, and if I was looking at an effective labor rate concern, I would sure look at labor ops structure, I would look at discounting, and I would start analyzing what is causing this low rate or low performance. if in the case of this effective rate, I identified that, wow, you're paying your technicians 7/10 of an hour to do an oil change, and man, I don't know of anyone that can afford to pay a technician 7/10 on an oil change. That will reduce the effective labor rate. And when you include the team in the discussion, include them in understanding what it is. Determine with them the best, most logical course of action. Identify it. Include the team. And then say, well, we agree that, gosh, the following actions would affect that result. You set up your action plan. Maybe we massage that technician pay on that poor performing labor operation down to 4/10. And what would that do to our rate? Maybe we're paying 2.5 on a brake job that the rest of the industry's seeing 1.3. When you have those types of situations, develop your plan of action, and it's not a surprise. You set a date, you develop your plan, and then you go for it. When you do that and you implement a new process or procedure, I'll tell you right now, there are going to be concerns. There's going to be issues. You have to review your progress on a consistent basis and always include the team on the progress. And there's something else that's going to have to be needed too. Occasionally, you're going to have situations where you need to modify the plan. There's a curve in the road. It's not working. This part might be functioning well, and this other area, we're not getting the result we needed. So a proactive performer is always taking these simple steps, looking at ways to adjust, adapt. But one of the things that a proactive performer never does is look at a number on a piece of paper and be so concerned about that number that they don't want to take any action until they get the time to do this or do that. Let's just use this as an excuse mode. Well, I don't have the time. I don't have the knowledge. Well, then these excuse individuals will never get that proactive result, the proactive performance that today's marketplace really demands. If you think you can do it the way you did business 20 years ago, you're mistaken. This industry's changing. What about the quick lane, the no appointment oil changes, the low cost oil changes, the cost of parts, motor oil, vendors? All of these issues need to be addressed and need to be modified on a regular basis for the dealership to be profitable and in a consistent growth mode. Now, when you're proactive, you never forget the ultimate priority is on customer care. If it takes you an hour and a half to process an oil change, it doesn't matter what the price is. You're not going to retain many of those clients. So when you're reviewing progress and you're including your team and you're adapting to the changes that you need to have, you're set on a path to get performance improvements. You're set on a path that you're going to be proactive in all of the issues that come across your desk. Proactive performers are always going to be looking for areas of opportunity for improvement. They will never make excuses as to why they can't address it. And if they don't know how to address it, Then they're seeking individuals that do. They're asking input from other people that know or might have knowledge they can share. How are you dealing with this? What do you pay for that? Always be looking for ways to improve. Ask yourself the question, what are we going to do to be better? What can our team do to improve today's performance? Be proactive. Go out. Find it. Identify it. Set the plan. Include the team and go for it. And don't forget to review your progress and be honest with those results. If anyone gives you an indicator, yeah, I use this is what I use, it makes that number look good, throw it in the trash. Has nothing to do with what you need to be focused in on. Looking good or making the number appear better than it is never the proper approach. Go for the real results, the real improvement, and there, at the end of all of that, there's a strong sense of accomplishment in being the proactive performer. Now, as always, in these calls, you can raise your hand by pushing the number 1. And if we have no questions, then we'll conclude this week's call. Mike, our moderator, will see your hand raised. And for the next 15 seconds or so, we'll go ahead and open up the lines. And if anyone has any comments, you can share those.
We have a question?
Yes. Hey, Rob, this is Clayton. How you doing?
Fantastic.
Love the points you made today. And one of the things that like for you to go into a little bit more detail on, which some folks might not know because of all of the automation of the computer systems, is how to figure out what their effective labor rate is, especially if you wanted to dial down and just look at one thing like oil changes. Maybe you could explain a little bit about that and how to figure that out to help everyone know what to look for and how to get those effective labor rates up.
Oh, that's a great question, and I will use the most DMSs if I'm in a dealership that has an issue of effective labor rate, I will go first of all to the customer pay function and advisor performance report, or ADP, what might be called a RAP report, and I would go identify the detail report. So in essence, I would look at RO by RO, where it lists the effective rate on every RO. And within a short period of time, the poor performing labor ops identify themselves. So if I see RO 185 says 4/10 and has an effective rate of $15, and I'll go down and I'll scan that detail report, and I'll see 4/10, $15, 4/10, $15. Then I might see 7/10 and effective rate of $12. And so I'll look at those ROs, those individual ROs, and look at the labor operation that was performed, and that's your opportunity for analyzing that particular labor operation. So if it is an oil change, then you can look at adjusting it. If it's price, gosh, do I need to be $9.95 for an oil change? Well, not likely if you want to make a good profit on it. So we identify the labor ops there in the detail report, and then dive into what's needed to improve that operation. Great question, Clayton. Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Thank you for today's call, and I hope everybody has a wonderful week. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.